Now, I always thought it was the Jews are the chosen people and they all have to go back to Israel. But then people said, oh, no, actually, it's the Caucasians, it's the white. And then you're saying, actually, it's not, it's darker skinned people, and the darker skinned are different to African dark skinned. Is that correct as well? So can you tell me first the
Absolutely.
difference? Yeah, what's the difference? What kind, how dark do you have to be the chosen one?
It's nothing to do with the color of your skin. It is about the nation you belong to. And when I say nation, I'm not talking about, modern nations, which are essentially lines drawn on a map. In Africa, there are two nations of people there. There are the native Africans, right, who descend from Ham. Okay, so Ham, the son of Noah, right? They're the ones who were given those lands, which is essentially North and East Africa. Okay, because the rest of Africa was a wilderness. So they were given those lands. The other black people in Africa are Shemites. And most of them got there because when the Romans attacked in 70 AD, the Romans attacked Jerusalem, about 1 million of those Israelites escaped into Africa. So these Israelites went into the wilderness, went into the places that nobody lived, and they built civilizations down there. So we call them today sub-Saharan Africans. Have you not noticed that there's a distinction between Africans and sub-Saharan Africans? Because there are two separate nations. But today they've mixed in they're not so much mixed in, but they live together. And usually in every so-called African country, which again were just lines on a map, in every African country there are two factions fighting each other because you've got one people who are saying that the other people are strangers, they're newcomers, they're intruders. Yeah, so yeah, it's again the difficulty here is this idea of race, and people get very sensitive about race. Now, the reason that these people are chosen isn't because they're particularly special in any other way, apart from the fact that they were the original blueprint that the Most High created. The white people are the only ones who colonized all over the world, just like the Bible said. But the Bible didn't say that. It said you will be scattered as a punishment and a curse, right? No, the British Empire, all the Western empires weren't scattered across in punishment, but the black people were. Okay, I believe personally that before America disappears, because I think America is going to disappear, the second Exodus has to happen. Now, I think when we last spoke, you said, oh, that has to happen in the next 4 years, right? But I just heard something a couple of days ago that they're saying that Trump could serve a third term because he didn't serve 2 consecutive terms, right? This one could be counted as a new one. So now he can serve a second term, right? Which if that happens, then the timeline is now being extended to 8 years. Yeah, so that sounds more like a feasible timeline for in those 8 years, right? The black people will be leaving those lands, and then America's going to disappear because I believe Trump is going to be the last president. It's written in one of the prophecies given to Abraham. It says, "Know for a surety that your seed will go into slavery and affliction for 400 years." Okay, slavery and affliction. So we can actually figure out where we are in the book just by looking at who has gone into slavery and affliction for 400 years. And it turns out to be one particular group of people. And, if that group of people, if that slavery and affliction is correct, then that slavery and affliction which would end in the last days, right, ended August 21st, 2019. And yeah, that is when it ended, because as soon as we hit that date, all hell broke loose on earth, and it's still breaking loose, right? The next line of that prophecy is, it says, that nation, the nation that put them into slavery and affliction, that nation shall I judge, and afterwards they're going to leave these lands and go back to their own land with great substance. That's the next line, okay? So, as I said, that slavery affliction ended August 21st, 2019. Straight after that, all hell broke loose. And
Okay.
we are in the judgment of the nations right now. The ones that call themselves, you know, the Jewish people, who say they're of the tribe of Judah, of the line of Jacob, they're not. They're imposters. Yeah, they're pretending to be so they get blessed, essentially. And that's what's happening. They're being blessed by people all over the world, sending them money and arms and whatever. But they're not the people, okay? They're actually of the Edomite stock, the enemies of the real people. So the book actually says that the Israelites, their whole memory, the memory of them will be erased off of the earth, right, until the last days. So it also says that people are going to be amazed. Right? It says again in the Wisdom of Solomon, when people find out who they are, they'll be amazed at who they are. They'll say, "It can't be these people. We didn't really regard these people very highly, but how can they be the children of the Most High?" So have you got any idea who they might be?
What, the actual children of the Most High?
The Israelites, yes.
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, I think I have, yeah.
Who do you reckon they are?
Well, I think, isn't it? I don't want to say it because I don't want to get embroiled in all this racist stuff, which I know when you talk to Paul, he just says it. He says people are more frightened to say racist than rape, you know. But I thought it's Caucasian. I think
Right.
it's the Caucasians. I think it's the white-skinned, blue-eyed, brown-eyed people. From what I'm learning, only from what I'm discovering now. And I'm also saying that not that we're superior to anybody else. It's just we all have a job to play, and that's the job. But am I wrong?
I would say you're wrong.
Okay.
Because again, there is one people who've just literally just coming out of 400 years of slavery and affliction, right? And those are the so-called African Americans, the West Africans who are in the same slavery and affliction, but it was called colonialism, and those people who are in the Caribbean. Right? If I'm right about who the Israelites are, that's going to have to happen before America disappears. And what do we see that Trump is doing and has been doing? Right? He's instituting mass deportations, right? Of right now he's calling them illegal immigrants, but when he first came in, he changed the law so that to be considered an American citizen, you're not necessarily an American citizen if you were born there. So it's laying the groundwork for Trump to turn around and say to all the black people there, "Out you go, leave. We're gonna deport you," right? Which to me sounds like an exodus. Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm saying, and I'm not a prophet or anything. I'm just looking at all these bits and pieces, and it's showing me that at some point in the next 4 years, Trump's going to deport all the black people out of the country, you know, in order to make America great again. Yeah. Forgetting that those black people built the country for them, and then America's going to disappear. It's going to be wiped off the map. I personally think it's going to be a super volcano that's under Yellowstone that's going to erupt and take out the whole of America. President Trump, and I've been saying this for at least 5 or 6 years, President Trump is going to be the last president of the United States. Okay. And I don't know if you know about the books from 1900, The Marvelous Adventures of Little Baron Trump and The Last President.
No. No, you've frozen again, so hopefully I can speak. You froze again. Isn't that the son's name? Isn't Baron his son?
Yes,
okay.
it
And
is.
there's books. There's books in the 1900s that talk about these people. You said.
There's a book, and I'm blanking on the name of the author now, but there's a book by a particular author called The Marvelous Adventures of Little Baron Trump. But the other book he wrote was called The Last President, and in that book it talks about the election of a very unpopular president that nearly causes a civil war, right? And it describes exactly what happened with President Trump, his first election. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying, okay, he's the last president. So in Trump's term, America's going to disappear. Adolf Hitler had a report, had a book commissioned essentially to find out who the Jews were. Because he realized that these people that in his land weren't the actual Israelites. He wanted to find out who they were and who were the actual Israelites. So he got this book commissioned, and so this chapter is, and you see the translation, a descendant of King David up to the present time, right? And it's the Charlap Don Jashia family. Okay. Now, a bit of background. When the Israelites were taken into captivity in Babylon, right, it turns out that the king of Spain asked for the nobles of Judah, the family of King David, to be taken to Spain. Okay, and that happened again when the Romans attacked. A whole load of the noble families of Judah were taken to Spain, and they lived in Granada, and they actually became a whole nation of people in Spain. Okay, so I'm zooming in now on. I should have highlighted the one before. 47, Don Jashia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or Jashija or something. Right. So that's an English way of pronouncing this. Okay. Now a J is, the J's didn't exist before 400 years ago. So that would have been a ya sound. Yeah. So it would start ya. Okay. The CH isn't a ch sound, it's a ch sound. So think of the word, if you were putting on a Scottish accent, and you'd say Loch Ness. You wouldn't say Loch Ness like we would. You'd say Loch Ness. Yeah. So CH is a ch sound, right? And again, you've got the ya at the end. So that word, it's not Jashia, it's Yahya, Yahya, or Yahya. Yeah. If you anglicize it. So Yahya. Okay, so now you've got the sons of Yahya. You've got Yehuda, Joseph, Solomon, Gedaliah, and David. Right. So this is basically showing this particular sequence of lineage. You can actually go to the Jewish Encyclopedia, and it will literally list, and you can see Yahya or Yahya. Right, Joseph, Solomon, Gedaliah, David. It's the same people, right? And when you look at the write-up on this family, Portuguese family. So remember Spain, and then you got the Spanish Inquisition, and lots of people went into Portugal to escape, and then you got the Portuguese Inquisition, and so on, right? So Portuguese family, right, and this family, certain individuals of this family, bore the additional cognomen or name Negro, black. Okay, so it was black right? There were black people, and what happened in the Inquisitions, again, they were persecuting these people, right? So those who didn't convert were taken or didn't leave of their own accord, escaped into Portugal, and there was the Inquisition there as well. And those who from there went on to West Africa, Angola, and other places like that. Okay, so those people went from Spain, Portugal, then ended up in Africa, right, escaping the Inquisitions. So if you look in the slave voyages database, if you go through, you'll find Yahya all the way through. Yeah, so I can show using Adolf Hitler's documents showing a progression of one family, right, going from Spain, Portugal into West Africa, and then to America as slaves.